Back. It's 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I'm Jim Blassingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show. I'm glad you're here. And I'm excited about introducing you to a new friend. Darrell Knoch is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Knoch is how you spell his last name. He is a serial entrepreneur, highly successful serial entrepreneur. He is the author of a new book called Mastering a Healthy Self-Image. And you need to listen to this guy about self-image because he's come a long way on that. And we're going to get him to tell that story. Darrell Knoch, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.
Good to have you on, Darrell. It's nice to meet you and be able to introduce you to my audience. Darrell, your life started out pretty tough, in such a way that you could have easily have lived the rest of your life with a really poor self-image. Tell the audience about that, please, if you don't mind.
I will. I had some unfortunate situations early on in life. I'm the youngest of 7 children, and my dad had left home and left my mother with 7 children to raise. And at the age of 1, we were outside. This is the story I've been told, and I started running out toward the road, and my older sister, which was 11 at the time, she came running after me, and she tripped on the sidewalk just as she got to me, and she fell on the back of my head, and she literally crushed my face into the cement.
Wow.
Yeah. So, at the age of 1, your bones are not very hard, and
right.
So it did actually crush my face, crush my nose. And being we were, my mother had 7 children to raise. We were on welfare.
Right.
And so we just couldn't afford to get my face fixed. 56 years ago, there just wasn't the opportunities there are today. And so I grew up with that crushed face. And so, kids were no kinder back then than they are today. And I got a lot of ribbing about my face and, got joked with about, having a pug face or a pug nose. And so, that just didn't do well for my self-esteem.
Right.
Growing up with, being on welfare, we didn't have some of the things that some of the other kids had either. And so, it kind of made me an angry person. I'd get into a lot of fights, which that didn't help anything either because that meant I got into trouble all the time.
Right.
And so I had a really spectacular event happen at age 16. Two events, I'll say, I guess. At age 16, my mother had saved just enough money to get my nose fixed and make my nose look a little bit better.
Wow.
And that really started my transformation. But number 2, my oldest brother was, he's quite a bit older than I am. He gave me a set of Zig Ziglar tapes. And that dramatically changed my life.
Changed your life, didn't it?
Student of human nature, and I literally listened to, read every possible thing that I could get my hands on, and really transformed my life from being that young kid with a poor self-esteem, with a crushed face, and getting into trouble all the time, to having the good fortune of changing my life.
But hasn't these misfortunes that happen to you, don't you feel like obviously, they've made you what you are today. You're a successful business person. You've got this story to tell. You're helping people with their own self-image. Think about, you might be managing a shoe store somewhere, or who knows, driving a truck if it hadn't, not that there's anything wrong with that. But, look at what you've accomplished in your life because of the things that happened to you in your life.
I totally agree with you. I believe, and I tell my sister, because, this story gets told a lot these days, and so I always am careful to make sure that my sister knows that even though she watches me do what I'm doing with going forward today, I keep telling her, don't feel bad at all, because having that happen to me really is what springboarded me into getting to where I have gone to in life.
So what would you say to other people who have had similar situations, whatever it may be, or maybe they've just conjured it up in their mind? You know, the world's not giving them what they want. What would you say to them about dealing with self-image?
Well, I believe that one of the biggest things that really made a difference for me is I took the time to educate myself, and I literally made a decision. I will not live with this any longer. I am going to take responsibility for me, and I'm going to educate myself till the point that I have a self-esteem that is unstoppable.
And so you weren't going to let this hold you back. You weren't going to let it define you, at least not in a negative way.
That's exactly right. I love that analogy. Whatever your situation is does not define you, because you can and you will change.
Well, these kinds of stories help all of us. Your story, you're being the courageous way in which you've told this story, and the way you've lived your life, Darrell, are the kind of stories that people like to hear. And or if they don't like to hear them, it's because they realize that, you know, they thought they had it tough till they hear a story like yours, and they realize, well, there's no reason why I can't accomplish what you have. And you know, especially here in America, Darrell, the sky's the limit for folks, isn't it? I mean, we're fortunate to be Americans, but we turn that fortune into something. It's what we do with that afterwards. That's what we have in America. We have the liberty to be able to do that, don't we? Like you have done.
Well, you know, I tell people that with the information that's out there today, and, you know, we talk about, you know, that we're getting some of our freedoms taken away from us, and, you know, that's an easy bandwagon to get onto right now, but in reality, even with the hard economy that we've had right now, I'm convinced that anyone that is willing to take the responsibility can learn to have prosperity for it.
Well said, Darrell. Darrell Knoch, ladies and gentlemen. He and I will be right back. Stay with me, 20 after. We're back. It's 23 after the hour. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for staying with me. My pleasure to continue to be with you. I'm Jim Blassingame. Hope you check out my website when you get a chance, smallbusinessadvocate.com. Lots of stuff there that will help you. You can read, you can listen, you can ask questions, you can check out the blog, you can subscribe to my newsletter, you can take the poll question on the homepage, you can watch a video. You get the picture, folks. Lots of stuff there. 3 seconds to 3 minutes. We got something you can do there that will help you with your small business. Darrell Knoch is our guest. Knoch is how you spell his last name. Creator of True Wealth University, author of Mastering a Healthy Self-Image. That's an ebook. By the way, Darrell, tell us how we can find your book and your websites.
Well, if they will go out to truewealthuniversity.com, that will get them to anything.
All right, truewealthuniversity.com.
That's correct.
All right.
I like your choice of music, by the way.
Oh, thanks. You're welcome. Hey, Darrell, let's talk about this self-image thing. Now, you had something dramatic happen to you. You had an injury. You had some family situations that caused you to be very, very much aware of an image that was not good. It was very much part of your consciousness. Do you think that there are people out there who are not being successful today who have a self-image issue, but they don't really realize it? It's holding them back, but they're not really dealing with it. What do you think?
I really believe that is true, and you know, they may be thinking about it in different manners, and they may be thinking about something that is not related to the self-esteem. But you know, a lot of times, you know, as a young boy, I would be angry and I wouldn't have the best attitude because I didn't have a good self-esteem, and so I was giving off an air that I was not a friendly person. And, in reality, I've always had a big heart, but because I was angry and I didn't have that good self-esteem, people didn't perceive me, and I really was giving it off. I was showing, some little bits of anger in different places, and that's not good customer service.
And you didn't realize you were doing that?
I didn't realize it in the way that made me change it.
Did you feel like you have a little chip on your shoulder, maybe?
I did. There's no question about it.
And this, how long? How old were you when you realized that this was going to be a problem for you?
I was 22 years old when my brother gave me that set of Zig Ziglar tapes.
Yeah.
And listening to that and starting to educate myself was what really helped me see, you've got a kind of a crappy self-esteem. You've got a crappy attitude, and you need to change that if you're going to go someplace in life.
And you're living proof, Darrell, that you can turn that around, aren't you? I mean, you had plenty of reason to be entrenched, to have this to be entrenched and to define you as who you are. But if you allow that to own you, it's basically an excuse, isn't it?
It is, and it's all too easy for all of us to be comfortable in what we're at, even if it's not where we want to be. We get comfortable with it, and we find it hard to change. And so, we have to come to that decision of, the old saying, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm going to make a change.
Darrell, one of the things that I think about, one of the terms that I use about this, about getting over yourself, not letting what's going on in your life affect the people around you, like your customers especially, I call it rising above. If you can't rise above your own problems, if you can't get out of your own way, if you can't rise above, when you're dealing with customers or whoever you're dealing with, and you had a bad day or a bad year or a bad life, if you can't rise above that, you can't find a way, even if you can't solve all those problems today, you still need to find a way to rise above that. What do you think?
I totally agree. And, with Google today, we have so much information at our fingertips. If you say to Google, how do I realize this? How do I find this piece of information? It has such a wealth of information available that we just don't have excuses to say, I don't know how to change my life. As an example, not exactly self-esteem, but it's related to everything. Let's say you want to learn to read how to read a financial statement. I didn't know how to read a financial statement when I was 18 years of age, but I learned how to read a financial statement, and same with self-esteem and self-confidence and taking prosperity. Learn how to do those things. And, reading, watching, listening, educating, listening to your show, those are ways that people can really change their life.
If you really want to get out of your own way, folks, learn and read about other people like Darrell Knoch and what they've done to accomplish that. Darrell, thank you for being here. Give us the website quickly one more time.
It is truewealthuniversity.com.
Check it out. You can find his books there, too. Darrell, come back another day.
I appreciate that. I'd love to.
We'll see you then. Quick break, 29 after. Stay with me. I'll be right back.